More than 10,000 protesters join pro-Palestine march in London.
Calls for a ceasefire in Gaza rang out across central London as more than 10,000 pro-Palestine demonstrators marched through the capital on Saturday. It was the UK's first national demonstration since the UN's International Court of Justice ordered Israel to ensure acts of genocide are not committed in Gaza. Along with other protesters, Jewish and Zionist groups on the march made their desire for a ceasefire clear, displaying banners calling for the Israeli leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, to secure a hostage deal and chanting, "Netanyahu, shame, shame, not in our name." Other protesters carried banners which demanded, "End the killing," "Free the children," "Freedom to Palestine," and "Boycott Israel." In total, Scotland Yard estimated about 10,000 demonstrators had marched through the West End, with the crowd swelling to 20,000 for the speeches in Whitehall. BBC reports described the atmosphere as peaceful. Organisers had expressed concerns that the Metropolitan Police would take a harsher approach compared with previous demonstrations, accusing the force of bowing to political pressure from the government to restrict the marches. The Met said officers have been monitoring the march for offensive placards, chants and banners, and that it was using CCTV to spot other offences and find suspects. It had previously announced officers would be authorized to demand the removal of face coverings they believed were being worn to conceal a person's identity, throughout the borough of Westminster, from 10 a.m. on Saturday to 1 a.m. on Sunday. The force said this measure would not apply to religious face coverings. Chris Nineham, the vice chair of Stop the War, said, "This is yet another example of the police attempting to criminalize Palestine protests and in the process chipping away at civil liberties. They are deliberately trying to raise tensions and to create the impression that people marching for peace and an end to a genocide are a threat to society. It's an absolute disgrace." After having told organisers on Wednesday the Met would not allow demonstrators to end with a rally on Whitehall, where marches have regularly ended, the force made a U-turn on Thursday and said the march could end near Downing Street. A request for two end rallies, including one in Trafalgar Square, was denied, however, with the Met saying they would have hundreds of officers on duty but fewer resources than on previous march days to police the protests. In a statement, the force said, "The vast majority of those joining protests have done so in a lawful and peaceful way, but a minority have broken the law and arrests have been made at previous marches." Deputy Assistant Commissioner Matt Ward, who is leading the policing operation, said, "We respect the right of people to protest, but other Londoners and visitors have rights as well. I understand the cumulative impact of repeated protests since October on businesses, residents and those who want to travel into the West End. Getting the balance between competing rights can be difficult, but we will do it independently, impartially and always within the law." Last Friday, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to ensure its forces did not commit acts of genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. In an interim judgment, the president of the court, Joan Donoghue, said Israel must take all measures within its power to prevent acts that fall within the scope of the Genocide Convention and must ensure, with immediate effect, that its forces do not commit any of the acts covered by the convention. Earlier this month, the Palestine Solidarity Campaign organized a march of hundreds of thousands of people through central London. Little Amal, a 4 meters puppet of a Syrian child refugee, accompanied protesters as they marched towards Parliament Square. The following weekend, hundreds joined a multi-faith peace march in solidarity with people affected by the conflict.